Hello everyone, welcome to Tech Sharmit. From this session, we are going to start with new series where we will be mainly focusing on reactive form. So far we have covered all the types of form, like with all the examples of template driven form, right? We talked about template driven form with their possible examples. But from now we are going to continue with the reactive form. Okay. So in this session, like, we will be doing the introduction, like what is reactive form, why do we need it, and core building blocks of reactive form. But in the further session, we will talk each and everything with practical examples so that you can relate it. I know like developers don't like theoretical things too much, but here whatever we will cover as a theoretical thing will be very important for you for your interview as well as exam purpose. Okay, that is why we are just preparing the small notes so that it will help us to crack the interviews. Okay. All right, so now you can see here like I'm in HTML file. I have prepared the notes, but before we move into these notes, I just want to let you know that these all sessions are in proper sequence and sync. So if you follow it sequentially, then it would be much more easier for you to understand the ongoing topic, because for time being we are just mainly focusing on how to use like we are mainly focusing on the reactive forms, right? But prior to that, we should know what is template driven form, why do we need form, and the basic stuff, right? And for these stuff, like, you can refer the Tech Sharmit digital course book, which is freely available in the description box. There you will find more than 3000 plus free resources, which is available in all Hindi as well as English language. So as per your convenience, you can simply go through it. Okay, fine. Now you can see I have prepared the notes for you. So first thing is, what is reactive form? If you are in an interview or if you are writing your exam and someone asks you what is reactive form, so you can simply explain that a reactive form is a way to create and manage form using TypeScript. Okay, so a reactive form is a way to create and manage forms using code TypeScript instead of writing it everything into HTML. So that is the simplest difference also between the reactive form and template driven form, because here we are using, like, it's a way to create and manage. We know that we are going to create the form and manage the form as well, right? And all these things will be used will be done on the basis of TypeScript code instead of writing everything into the HTML. So here we are not writing everything into HTML. Instead of that, we are writing the things into TypeScript file. Clear? Second thing, you can control the form from the component file, not the template. So here we are going to control everything from the form data, right? Like all the things from the component file, not from the template file. Okay, because we are like we are writing the logic into the component file, TypeScript file, right? So that is why we can say that this thing will be managed from the component file, not from the template file. Third thing is, Angular always keeps the form data, validation, and state in one place. So if we particularly talk about the reactive form, then in reactive forms, Angular keeps the form data, validation, and state into one place, not in multiple places. So I think with these definitions, these pointers, one thing is clear, that what is reactive form. Now the second question comes, why do we need reactive form? Like, we have already the template driven form. We know how to create and use the template driven form. But then if there was a form concept, then why Angular introduced new form, that is reactive form? Definition is clear that what is reactive form, but why do we need it? So whenever Angular or any technology introduce something new, for sure there must be some drawbacks or problems with the existing system. Then only like they come up with the new thing, right? So with the template driven form also there was some problem, and just to solve that problem and to get some benefits, we like Angular come up with a reactive form. So let's see what were those issues and how Angular is solving that. Reactive form is solving that. So if someone asks why do we need reactive form, so you can tell that there were some problem without reactive form, and those problem were hard to track form values. Yes, so if you are not using the reactive form, then comparatively it is very hard to track the values. If we compare, like when in the upcoming session we will talk about the example, so you will also see the difference between the template driven form and reactive form, and we'll see like how and why it is hard to track form values in existing system, means in previous form. Also, validation becomes messy. So in a comparison way, if we look at the validation process of template driven form and reactive form, then you will find that validation is bit messy. Okay, and also it is like previous forms were difficult to handle complex form. Okay, so for any reason, like if we create a complex form which contains multiple field and logic and validation, so in that case it is not that capable, it was not that capable. But if we talk about the reactive form, it is capable, and it is less difficult as compared to other forms. That is why like we come up with a new thing, that is reactive form. Clear? Next thing is benefit. Like if we have introduced this new concept that is called reactive form, then what are the benefits? So first thing is full control over the form logic. So if we are using the reactive form, then there is a full control over the form logic. Second, validation is now easier. Okay, so now the validation process is quite easier. And the third thing is it is better for large and dynamic forms. Okay, so if let's say if you are preparing one registration form for an exam that contains multiple fields, multiple validations, and UI related effects and all these things, so in that situation we know that form are large as well as dynamic. So in that case we can utilize reactive form because it is better for large and dynamic forms. Fourth point is it is clean and predictable behavior. It has clean and predictable behavior. So again, like when we are learning about the two types of forms, so it's better to see it comparatively, right? So if we compare the reactive form with the template driven form, so reactive form is clean as well as predictable, clean and predictable form. Okay, so these are the some pointer that will help us to understand the benefits of using reactive form. So now we know that what were the problems. Problems were like previous forms were hard to track form values, validation was very messy, and also if we are not using the reactive form, if we are not using the reactive form, then it is very hard to track the values, validation become messy, and also it is difficult to handle the complex form. And what are the benefits of using a reactive form? Like benefits are, with reactive form we will get the full control over the logic, we will get easier validation process, it is better for the large and dynamic forms, and also it is clean as well as predictable behavior. Okay, so I think these pointers answer all your question of why do we need reactive form. Now let's take one real life analogy so that you can relate the things in a simple way. Okay, so you can see, suppose we have one job application form, so each input field is equal to a question that is name, email, experience. Okay, if we talk about form group, then it is equal to the entire application form group. Okay, if we talk about the validation, then these are the rules that we have already applied on the input fields, like email must be valid, name should be required, and all these stuff. Okay, and then we have submit button, which is equal to the send applications. So if you want to send the application, then you will use the submit. So in short, you can say that Angular act as a manager and it checks everything before the submission. It didn't directly submit the data, it checks it and then send it. Clear? Now let's conclude the session with some building block also for the reactive form. So if we talk about the building block, then it has form control term, which means one input field. We have form group, group of fields, form array, list of fields, validators, rules of input, and form builder for short controls. So these are the stuff that we will be discussing in the upcoming sessions, most probably with some examples as well, because we are going to do things practically. So for now, like, this is what I wanted to share with you all. In the next session we will discuss few more things. So thank you for watching Tech Sharmit.